friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Welcome if you're new. I'm Cheryl, this Table Full of Joy, and I have got an exciting video for you guys today. We were blessed with some incredible things from a friend's property, and I'm excited about what we're making today. So I've got two recipes for you guys, super easy ones. This first one is going to be a two-parter. You guys will have to come back in about 6 weeks to see how this turns out. But as you guys know, if you followed me for a while, last year I got super sick. I don't know what I had, but it hung on forever. Had the worst cough and the worst congestion, cold, all the things. So we're trying something new this year. Instead of making elderberry syrup, I'm making an elderberry oxmel. And I have some fresh elderberries that we dried this week. We put them in our dehydrator, dried these out, and we're gonna make this oxmel. I saw this recipe. Well, the one I'm following is out of Pinterest is where I got this one, but I follow Becky at Acre Homestead, and she made an oxmel last year, I think it was, and it looked incredible. And so I'm making a big batch of this. I'm actually gonna make a double batch from the recipe, making a double batch, and I'm gonna share this with some friends of mine. We're all gonna try this and see if this helps us stay healthy this year. So one of my friends, she's our children's director at our church. Her and I both last year got super sick. And since we are around all the kids in classes and stuff, we're exposed to a lot of things. So we're gonna try something this year and see if this helps us stay healthy. So the difference between an oxmel or an elderberry syrup, an elderberry syrup only has about a month shelf life in your fridge. It doesn't last very long, but an oxmel, this will last in your fridge for a year, year and a half. So you can make this in a bigger batch since it is a huge process to make these. You can't just make it and then take it. It has to steep. So we're gonna make a big batch of this. That way, this should give me enough to get us through, hopefully the winter time between the couple of us that are gonna be enjoying it. And it's got a lot of really great ingredients. I had to order some things on Amazon. So I do not have echinacea in my garden or anything. So I ordered some echinacea off of Amazon, big, huge bag. I'm gonna have to figure out something else to do with it. And then I also needed rose hips. I do not have those. So I ordered those things off of Amazon to add to our oxmel. It also calls for some cinnamon sticks. It calls for some cloves. It calls for some fresh ginger. It calls for local fresh honey, which you guys know we got some at the coast a couple months ago. And it calls for some apple cider vinegar. And then of course your elderberries. So we're gonna put all these in this big jar. We're gonna get these all mixed up. This needs to get put in a dark place in my house someplace. We need to shake it every day or two just to keep everything mixed up together. And then in about 6 weeks, this will be ready for us to bottle up. I ordered some really cute little blue bottles off of Amazon with droppers on them so that we can distribute this oxmel, I had to think, so we can take the oxmel by drops. It takes 5 to 10 drops a day, is what really helps to keep the sickness away from you and everything. So let's get this put together really quick, and then I have another fun recipe to show you guys that includes another blessing. We have a friend of ours, my husband works for them every Saturday, and she has 22.5 acres. And they have a lot of stuff on their acreage besides trees. And they have elderberry, and so she allows me every year to come up and get as much elderberry as I want, which is a huge blessing because elderberry on Amazon can be super expensive. So I'm blessed that I get to go up there every year and get elderberries from her. She also has an Asian pear tree, and she sent me home with a huge grocery bag full of Asian pears. And so today we're gonna make 2 Asian pear galettes, a special dessert. Hubby will have one tonight. We'll send one with him tomorrow when he goes up to their house to work. He can bring them one to enjoy over the weekend. And then she also has apples up there. She will let me have some apples as soon as the apples are ready in the next month or so. And then she also has figs, and I've gotten a lot of figs over the last couple of years from her. So every year when her things are coming in season, she calls me and says, hey, come and take whatever you want. And so it's such a huge blessing every year to go get those things. So let's get this oxmel done so we can get these galettes in the oven. And yeah, then I think that's what's gonna be this video is the oxmel and our apple, or not apple, but our pear galette. And hubby's actually coming home earlier tonight, which I'm excited about. We're gonna make a delicious dinner. That'll be another video for you guys. So if you're not subscribed, make sure that you guys subscribe because you don't want to miss that recipe, but you also don't want to miss out on the oxmel when it's done in a few weeks. So let's get this mixed up. So since I'm doing a double batch of this, the recipe calls for a 1/2 cup of elderberries. I'm doing a full cup because, like I said, we are doubling this one because I want a decent sized batch of elderberry oxmel so that we have enough. So now we need to put a cup and a half of apple cider vinegar. You want a good apple cider vinegar that has the mother in it. So look on your bottle and make sure that it does have the mother. That is a good sign that it's a really good, healthy apple cider vinegar. So I'm gonna give it a quick shake up. I wanna make sure I get all that good nutrition from it. So we're gonna put a cup and a half of our apple cider vinegar. Actually, you know what? I need more than that because I'm doing a double batch. It's a cup and a quarter to a cup and a half per batch. So there's 2. And let me grab the other bottle. All right, so we're gonna do a half. So that took all of our apple cider vinegar, which we need to get more. All right, so there's our vinegar. We need 2/3 of a cup of, it says a half to 2/3 of a cup. So I think we're gonna do a full cup of honey. I don't like these things if they are super, super tart. So I think we're gonna go ahead and do a full cup of local honey. All right, here's our honey. All right, we need a couple of cinnamon sticks. The recipe calls for 1. Since we're doing a double batch, we're gonna need 2. I might actually just put an extra one in here. So there's 1. There's 2. Let's go ahead and put 3, just for good measure. All right, now we need to put it in our cloves. It says 7 cloves. I'm not gonna really count them out. I'm just gonna put some cloves in here. All right, let's just dump this. I think that's good right there. All right, so there's our cloves. And now we need to put in our ginger. And it says you need about a tablespoon of fresh grated ginger. So I'm gonna just grate it directly into my jar. All right, our last couple of things we need to put in here is our rose hips and our echinacea. So our rose hips, well, it says you can tear it, but it's not wanting to tear. So we're just gonna cut it. This comes in a resealable bag, which I was thankful for, because like I said, I don't need all of this, but these are rose hips. Let me get a, so that's what rose hips look like. So we need four tablespoons of rose hips in here. And then our echinacea, for one recipe, it calls for 1 tablespoon. So we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of our echinacea. And I'm gonna have to find a jar or something to store this echinacea in. So there's our echinacea. We're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of that. All right, just like that, we've got all of our ingredients in here. I wanna give this a really good stir because we need to get that honey all the way mixed in with everything. I can feel that honey kind of clumping up in the bottom of this. So let's give it a really, really good mix. Make sure that we got everything down into the jar. There's nothing stuck up on the sides. Just kind of get all the way in the bottom of the jar so we get all of that honey mixed in. Okay, everything's mixed in. All right, we're gonna put our lid on this, and this is going into a dark place in my kitchen. And every day I'm gonna grab it, I'm gonna give it a good shake around, and then it'll put it back in its spot, and then we'll see you guys in about 6 weeks when we get to put this into bottles. So I want to put a little disclaimer in here. I am not a doctor, I am not an herbalist, I am not a professional, and so I am not giving you advice on making a oxmel or what it can do for you. Please, friends, if you are going to make this, if you're going to try it yourself, please talk to your doctor and let your doctor make the decision for you if this is something that is good for you, because I don't want to ever give anybody advice about anything. This is what I'm doing for me. I've done the research, I've spoken to my physician, I know what I can handle. So I am going to go ahead and do it, but for all of the rest of you, please don't take this as I am giving you a recommendation of doing this, or I'm saying you should do it. Please talk to your doctor and let them help you make that decision. But I think this is going to be incredible for me. I'm super excited to be able to do something natural this year, and hope and pray that this helps us stay a little bit healthier this year and not be sick. All right, friends, we got our oxmel made. It is back there in the utility room. I put that on a shelf in the dark so that it can just sit there and steep. It's close to where I'm usually in the kitchen, so I can just walk by every day, pick it up, give it a quick shake, and put it back. Now we're gonna move on to our delicious Asian Pear Galette. Super excited about this. I'm gonna make my crust. I'm doing just a double pie crust. That way I've got 2 pieces, and I can make 2 small galettes, one for us and one for our sweet friends that blessed us with the pears and the elderberries and the figs so far this year. And apples are coming, I can't wait. So let's get this dough made. We need to put this in the fridge for about 30 minutes before we make our galettes. So let's hurry up and get this dough done. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know my favorite way to make pie dough is in a food processor. I tend to work it less when it's in a food processor than I do if I make it by hand. So I have 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour in there. I'm gonna put a little bit of our Redmond's real salt in here. We're not going for a salty dough, we're just going for a delicious dough. And then I've got 1 cup of really cold butter. So we're gonna cut this up into some pieces. I don't need to cut this into really small pieces because our food processor is gonna do the work for us. But I do wanna get it in some manageable size pieces for the food processor. And it is so annoying when you get butter and the butter is, you know, it's chilled with all of the paper wrapped around it. You want to handle this butter as little as possible so that it stays nice and cold. And that's all. All right, there is our butter going in the food processor. We're going to start our food processor. We're going to pulse this. That's how I like to do this until I get that butter all the way incorporated the way that I want it to. That looks perfect. We're gonna leave it just like that. We're gonna start slowly drizzling our cold water in, just until this dough comes together. Again, just pulsing. You can see how it now has started to come together just like that. It's gonna hold together. We're gonna pull this out, wrap it in some plastic wrap, stick it in our fridge for half an hour, and we'll come back and make our galettes. All right, I'm gonna pour this out here. I'm gonna get this all put into a nice ball. Then, like I said, we're gonna wrap this in some saran wrap. Stick it in our refrigerator, let it get nice and chilled before we decide to work with it. About 15 minutes before our dough is ready, I will come in and start our filling. Here's our saran wrap. I'm gonna pick that up. Don't want to lose any of these little bits. All right, I'm not going to use my hands because my hands are warm and I want to keep that butter nice and cold. So I am going to use the plastic wrap to just kind of shape this into a ball. It's going to be easier if we have this into a circle to roll it out once we pull it out of our refrigerator. But just like that. All right, there's our dough that's going in the fridge. We'll see you guys and we'll start our filling. All right, friends, we're gonna get going on this Pear Galette. I'm super excited about this. Let me show you this bag of pears. I can barely pick this up, but this is a lot of pears. I'm excited about this. So it says we need 4 pears for each galette. So I went ahead and grabbed 4 of them out of that bag. We're gonna mix up our filling stuff first before we even start to peel our pears, because I don't want them to turn brown on me. Still want them to be nice and beautiful and pretty. So let's get our stuff in our bowl, filling mixed up. Then we'll peel our pears, slice them, get them in there, pull our dough out. We'll cut 1/2, put the other half in the fridge so it stays nice and cold. And we're gonna work in stages till we get both of these done. All right, so we need to put in some brown sugar. So we're gonna do 2 tablespoons. And I'm gonna do heaping tablespoons. I'll do just a pinch more, there we go. All right, then we need a tablespoon of cornstarch. This is gonna act as our thickener for our pears, just so that they don't run juice all over our pan. So there's our cornstarch, brown sugar. We need a little bit of nutmeg. Does not call for nutmeg in the recipe that I'm following, but I love nutmeg. If I had fresh nutmeg, I would use fresh, but I don't have any. So I'm gonna use a little bit of that. Also gonna do some cinnamon. Calls for about a teaspoon of cinnamon. Go a little bit heavy on that. We need a little bit of salt, because we always need to balance our sweet out with a little bit of salt. I'm gonna use my tablespoon and just kind of mix that around. Get everything combined. Use the back of my tablespoon to pat out any of the lumps. Okay, now we're gonna put in, instead of almond extract, or instead of vanilla, I'm using almond extract. We're gonna put in about a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. I think that's gonna be beautiful. And we need a little bit of lemon. I'm gonna use lemon zest and lemon juice. I think lemon just really, really brightens these up. I'm gonna save my rasp because we need to do another one. I'm gonna have a little lemon juice in here. I'm just gonna cut off one corner of it. Squeeze a little bit of lemon juice in here. Right, and for this, I'm gonna grab a fork. Because I wanna mix up all of that cinnamon and brown sugar and cornstarch and all of those things. Get everything mixed together really well. All right, I'm gonna set that aside. We're gonna get started on our pears. We're just gonna peel these and then just slice them. These are beautiful Asian pears that she blessed us with. I love going out to her house. They live on some beautiful acreage, and it's always such a fun time to go out there and harvest whatever she's got, whether it's pears or apples, blackberries, all of those things. Get that little bad spot out of there. I'm not sure if you could leave the peel on of these. So like when I do apple stuff, I always leave the peel on because my husband and I love the texture of the apple peel. But I don't know about the pears. I don't imagine that would be a very good texture, so we'll just peel it off. It'll be fine. So just to keep these from getting super brown, I am gonna go ahead and slice them as I cut them. That way I make sure that I'm getting them into that lemon juice mixture fairly quickly. I'm gonna take off that peel, or the seeds, and then we're just gonna slice these super thin. These pears are perfectly ripe. They have a beautiful texture to them. I was wondering if 4 was going to be enough, but I think we're going to be good with 4 pears. And you can see they're already starting to turn. So I want to start getting these tossed in this lemon juice so that they don't turn on me before I get everything done. And I will leave the recipe down below that I'm following for this, and I'll make a note in there for the changes that I'm doing, because I am making a few changes to this recipe just to make it my own. All right, there's our last pear. I'm gonna get all of this stirred up really well, get it all coated in this, and then I'm gonna get my pie crust out, and we're gonna get this galette in the oven. All right, so here's our dough. I'm gonna cut this in half. We're just gonna pull out one half of this, and the other half will go back in the refrigerator. I'm gonna grab a little bit of flour, all right, just a little bit. All right, let's give this a quick roll. I want to keep it as circular as I possibly can. I can fix my edges down here in a second once we get this rolled out. And it works better to keep this in a circle if you roll it or turn it, rotate it a quarter turn each time that you roll it out. So roll it, quarter turn, roll it, quarter turn, roll it. Galette is just a fancy name for saying a flat pie or a single pie, rustic pie, anything like that. But we want to try to keep it in as close to a circle as we can, keep our edges together. I think that probably is perfect. So here's our cookie sheet. Like I said, I'm going to go around real quick and just fix any of my little spots in my crust where it might tear a little bit right there. Other than that, I think we're good. All right, I'm going to grab our pears and we're going to try to stay right in the center with our fruit. I am running out of room on my counter. So I'm going to try to go overlap as much as I can, trying to keep it kind of pretty. We'll see if we have too many pears or not enough. But like I said, we want to have a really pretty presentation. We want to make sure, like I said, make sure we leave a border around the top up here so that we can take our pie dough and pull our pie dough up over the top. I just think they look so incredibly beautiful. And if you guys watched me do the strawberry rhubarb one for my husband's birthday, that was kind of a disaster, only because I used a refrigerated pie dough that I had in my freezer, and I never have good luck with those ever. They always end up being just a mess. So like I said, we're trying to keep this in a circular as much as we possibly can, just to keep it looking really pretty. Kind of hard when you get to the corners right there. It doesn't want to cooperate, but we're going to get it. And I think we're going to have too many pears, which is fine, because we are going to make another galette for us tonight. So, like I said, I just want to make sure I get enough fruit on here. Hubby will probably end up wanting to eat this before dinner, but we are going to have a delicious dinner. That will be a separate video. But I am just going to take some extra pears, just because I have them, and just kind of put them around the top right here. Go around and find any of these little holes and get them filled in. But I think that looks beautiful. I'm happy with that. Okay, I think we're good. So now we're gonna take our edges and we're gonna pull our edges up around this dough, making sure that as we pull it up that we are pinching our edges together, because if we don't, it will definitely leak out, and we don't want that. We want all of our delicious filling to stay in our pie. Okay, so just like that, there is our delicious fruit. Okay, I'm gonna leave my pears right there for a second. All right, so I have some homemade peach preserves, and I'm gonna put a little bit of this in the microwave so that I can make a little bit of a glaze that I'm gonna put over these pears. It's not gonna take very much. I think that should be enough. Let's microwave that just for a couple of seconds. All right, so you can see our peach preserves are nicely melted. So I'm gonna take this peach preserves and I'm gonna brush this over the top of our pears. This is just gonna give them a really beautiful color, really beautiful shine up on top, add a little bit of extra flavor. All right, just like that. Okay, the other thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna egg wash our pastry. So I've got just an egg. We're gonna go ahead and just brush the outside of our crust. Got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. All right, got that all brushed. Looks beautiful. One last step. I have some sugar in the raw. I love this on things like this. So I just have a little bit in my hand. You can see how coarse that is. We're gonna take that and we're just gonna sprinkle a little bit over the top of our crust and a little bit over our fruit, because I really want this to have that beautiful crunch, a little bit of a sparkle to the top of it. Not gonna make it super sweet. All right, there is our Pear Galette. We're gonna put that in the oven, 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. All right, friends, here is our delicious pear tart. Look at that. Look at the color on that. Is that not absolutely stunning? Super, super tasty. That is the secret. Fresh ingredients, fresh pie dough, not refrigerated. As you said, guys have heard, I have trouble with the refrigerated pie doughs. They just don't work for me. So I'm excited. This is going to be delicious. This one is going to our sweet friends tomorrow morning. Hubby will take it out to them. Ours is in the oven right now. We'll have that one for dessert tonight. I'll give you guys an update, let you know what hubby thinks of it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me today in my kitchen as we start a project that hopefully is going to benefit us and keep us from getting sick this winter time. Last thing I want to do is be sick all winter again. So I'm hoping this Oxmel is going to be a real benefit to me and the other people that I'm going to bless it with. They're excited to try it as well. I'll leave that recipe in the links in the description box for you guys if you want to give it a try. Elderberries are in season right now, so if you can find fresh elderberries, go get them. If not, you can order them off of Amazon and make yourself some Oxmel, and hope you guys stay healthy this year. Also, fresh pears are in season right now. Go get some pears, make a delicious tart, or not tart, but a galette. That's what they're called, a galette. Make a galette for your friends and family. Like I said, guys, I love these because they're small. You don't have to have a big, huge piece of pie. This is a great way to have a small dessert. If you need something for just a few people, you don't need to have a huge pie that's 2 crusts and all the filling and all the things that's like 8 pieces. We don't need that much. This is gonna be great, super small. It's gonna be delicious. So friends, you all mean so much to me. Thank you guys so much for joining me, supporting me in my journey as I continue to share my love of cooking on YouTube. If you guys think that you have friends or family that would enjoy what we're doing here, please share my channel with your friends and family. Encourage them to come and subscribe, check out what we're doing. We've got some other fun things coming up here really soon. You don't want to miss out any of those things. And friends, thank you guys again so much for joining me. You mean everything to me. We'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day and God bless.